The Off-Road Zone is brought to you by CF Moto. Exceed your expectations. Honda. Yamaha. And by Chaco. On this episode of the Off-Road Zone, we'll be heading to the Gaspésie region of the province of Quebec for an outstanding 4x4 experience in the Chic-Choc mountain range. Our group of drivers will show us what they're made of in this rough terrain that'll certainly separate the amateurs from the pros. We'll also visit one of the biggest activities organized by the Quebec Federation of ATV Clubs. Every year, they hold both a summer and winter jamboree, where everyone across the country is invited. This gives people the chance to discover a new region, while taking in the sights and meeting new friends. This year, the event was held in Matane, also part of the Great Gaspésie region. Last but not least, our UTV build-up will begin a little later on in the show, as Project Predator takes shape and takes us through the steps in modifying our Polaris RZR 900S. But first, let's head to Quebec's very own Gaspé Peninsula, a vast land that spreads across more than 31,000 square kilometers, which, by the way, is an area slightly larger than Belgium. This gigantic playground, for anyone who loves the outdoors, stretches along the south shore of the St. Lawrence River to the east of the Matapedia Valley in Quebec. It extends all the way to the Gulf of St. Lawrence and is separated from New Brunswick on its southern side by the Baie des Chaleurs and the Restigouche River. People recognize this region by its iconic landmark called the Percé Rock, or Le Rocher Percé in French. Located just offshore of the peninsula's eastern end, it's known to be one of the most photographed sites in the entire province. Known as a northern continuation of the Appalachian Mountains, also called the Chic-Chocs, the interior of the peninsula is quite rugged. This, of course, plays right into the off-road lovers' hands with kilometers upon kilometers of trails catering to hikers as well as mountain bikers, ATVers, dual sport motorcyclists, and snowmobilers alike. Tourists from around the world come to this region in order to take in the sights and sounds of the sea and then go inland to venture into the woods. ATVs, side-by-sides, and dual-sport motorcycles reign supreme in the warmer seasons, while snowmobiles also take to the trails during the winter. It's no secret that the peninsula is one of the most widely used by both the ATV and snowmobile federations, whose clubs, by way of their volunteers, build and maintain thousands of kilometers of trails. Whatever your vehicle of choice, the Gaspésie region is a must, and if it isn't already in your list of places to visit in Canada, you should definitely consider it. Coming after the break, we meet our drivers, get our rides ready, and head off to the mountains. Stay tuned. Saint-Anne-des-Monts is a small city nestled between the Chic-Choc Mountains and the sea. It's located on the south shore of the St. Lawrence River. Tourism and fishing are the two biggest industries. With an area of 337 square kilometers, Saint-Anne-des-Monts is the access point to the Gaspésie National Park and the Chic-Choc Mountains. It's the perfect playground, that is, if you like adventures in the open air. After getting to our rendezvous point, it was time to meet our group. Today's drivers will be Dave Lévesque and Marie-Christine Terrien, Jean-Jacques and Marie-Pierre Sergerie, Simon Lévesque and Cindy Gagné. We'll also have the honor of being guided through the wilderness by none other than the owner of Extreme Chic-Choc Safaris, Alain Thibault. Alain also brought two of his best guides, Martin Béchard and Véronique Terrien, to help out with the group. People were getting excited and wanted to hit the trail, so after a short meeting where our guides told us about the safety aspects of the ride, it was time to perform last-minute checkups of our vehicles. One of the tricks of the trade when going off-road with 4x4 trucks is to let out some of the air in the tires. This will provide extra traction when hitting those hard-to-climb areas. Finally, we're off on our adventure. Although a lot of the roads are public access, it's very important to have a guide that knows the area. Not only will they be able to help you if you encounter a problem, but they'll make sure to take you where the vehicles are allowed to ride, not to mention to the most beautiful spots that the region has to offer. Gravel roads, steep hillsides, and mud holes. You'll encounter it all when you ride the trails in the Chic-Choc Mountains. It's the perfect spot to challenge you as a driver and your vehicle. For beginners, instruction on how to deal with obstacles will be revealed by your guides. And don't be fooled because it looks easy. That doesn't mean it is. Remember, the first people to go up the hill have it easier than the last ones, as the terrain becomes more and more rugged with each passing vehicle. It's all okay though, as any off-roader will be able to confirm it. They live for this stuff. The more difficult it is, the better. Remember, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again, and again, and again. No, the angle of attack is all wrong here. I don't think so. Nope, not this time. No, not that time either. Yep, better back up a bit and get some momentum. Oh, so close. Ah, there we go. Okay, we'll keep this just between ourselves. The Chic-Choc Mountains are part of the Notre Dame Mountains, which is a continuation of the Appalachian Mountains. They're a narrow band of mountains approximately 95 kilometers long and 10 kilometers wide. The mountains here are very old and heavily eroded, with rounded and flattened tops and steep sides. Over 25 mountains have peaks higher than 1,000 meters, the highest being Mont Jacques-Cartier at 1,268 meters. This kind of extreme driving will probably teach you a thing or two that will help you the next time you get stuck somewhere in the mud or snow. The folks at Extreme Chic-Choc Safari make it a point of sharing their knowledge with their guests, and everyone comes back from their expedition with more experience and awesome memories. Part of the fun of this kind of activity is to know that you have access to sites that would otherwise be inaccessible. What better way to discover the wilderness than to be comfortably seated in a Jeep surrounded by your friends? More and more people choose this means of transportation in order to conquer the great outdoors, and we can definitely see why. We just had to take a moment to admire just how dirty our vehicles got. Remember, for off-roaders, dirt and mud are worn like a badge of honor. If you don't like getting dirty, then this isn't likely for you. Luckily, no one in our group was afraid to get down in the mud. After taking in the wonderful scenery and being satisfied by the level of dirt and mud collected in our vehicles, it was time to head back towards Saint-Anne-des-Monts. What goes up must come down, and the ride down was as enjoyable as the ride climbing up. Coming up, we move from Saint-Anne-des-Monts to Matane, where the annual ATV Summer Jamboree took place. Stay tuned. We're now heading 86 kilometers to the southwest of Saint-Anne-des-Monts to a town called Matane. With an area spreading over 230 square kilometers, Matane is considered to be the first step to Gaspé's tourist circuit. As such, it welcomes many passing tourists. The old lighthouse of Matane was transformed into a tourist information center with a panoramic view of its surroundings. Matane is world famous for its high-quality shrimp. The town is also known for its windmills, featuring Quebec's largest windmill park. This year, Matane was chosen by the Quebec Federation of ATV Clubs as its destination for their summer jamboree. The Federation oversees the activities of more than 119 affiliated clubs who regroup nearly 60,000 members province-wide. These clubs and their 3,000 volunteers build and maintain more than 25,000 kilometers of trails, split between summer access-only trails, winter access-only trails, and year-round access trails. When it comes to the future, one of the objectives of the Federation is to be able to develop quality trails that are well located, well maintained, easy to access, interconnected, and well mapped out. So far, judging by the growing interest in the sport, we'd say mission accomplished. With an estimated $1 billion in revenue directly generated by tourists on ATVs, It's no wonder the Federation is an important part of the development of the sport. The main goal of the summer and winter jamborees are to provide a safe and controlled environment for ATVers to get out of their regular trails and discover a new region. The local clubs take advantage of these events to showcase their region, trails, and accommodations to newcomers. The welcoming club members are often very proud to show off their club's best assets. Numerous observation points were spread out through the Matan region to the delight of all. We also got to visit the Windmill Park, a very impressive sight indeed when you've never been close to one of these power-generating giants. The diversity of the scenery in the Gaspésie region is quite impressive. From coastline to fields, from forest to mountains, we get to experience it all during the 2015 Summer Jamboree. It's very easy to make new friends while riding the trails. Some people have been coming to these events for years now, and one of the main reasons is to meet up with their friends that they happen to meet during one of their previous jamborees. Regardless of the weather, people are always in a good mood. After all, how does the saying go? Isn't it better to have a bad day on the trails than to have a good day at the office? But wait, there's no such thing as a bad day on the trails. What's even more amazing than all the extra revenue that the sport of ATVing generates in the various local economies is the fact that the volunteers support the whole industry. People actually give their time and effort in order to groom the trails, install trail and security signs, build bridges, and even go out to negotiate passage rights on the privately owned land. The people of the Gaspésie region know their trails, but they also know how to throw a party, which is exactly what happens every night during the Jamboree events. Matan was no exception. What better way to end a day of discovery than to gather with friends and enjoy some good food and, oh yes, there was cake involved. The Off-Road Zone team would like to thank the heads of the Coyotes ATV Club in Matan, Roger Bouchard, President, and Simon Bourgeois, Vice President, for welcoming our team. Congratulations on a spectacular jamboree, and thank you for letting us discover your wonderful region. We're sure we'll be seeing you again on the trails very soon. Coming up, we talk power winches with Mario Borriassi, who's working on our UTV build. Stay with us. The build has begun. Right now, let's talk front bumper and power winch.
The first thing that we tackled on the unit was that we wanted to install front bumper and winch.
Part of the fun in modifying a vehicle is to figure out how the new equipment will fit. Sometimes, though, it can be quite a puzzle.
For the front bumper, we went with HMF IQ equipment front bumper. We found the look of the bumper great, and what we really liked about it is that it had a front plate suspension to hold the winch. For a winch, we decided to go with a winch from Super ATV. Why? Basically, we found it was a very cost-effective product, which we read up a lot about it and seemed to have a lot of good user reviews. So we decided to give this winch a try, which the install process was super simple, very well documented, and I can't say it was a breeze to install, but it was we accomplished it without problems.
Without problems? Really? Okay. What Mr. Borriassi conveniently forgot to mention here is that they actually had to install this winch not once, but twice. What happened was, they hadn't noticed the new aftermarket bumper actually had a special location on which to install the winch, so they went ahead and installed it behind the original bumper. Oh well, that's part of the fun, isn't it? Right, guys? What matters is that as soon as they realized there was a much better spot for the new winch, they reinstalled it with no problems whatsoever.
So I think the overall look of the winch and bumper came out looking super great. We hadn't had a chance to field test the winch yet, but that I'm sure will come in time. But for the aesthetic appeal and look, I think it's hard to beat.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of the Off-Road Zone. For more information on everything you saw during tonight's episode, please check out these websites and come visit us at offroadzone.tv. The Off-Road Zone was brought to you by CF Moto. Exceed your expectations. Honda. Yamaha. And by Chaco. Until next time, we invite you to stay off the beaten path and join us again in the Off-Road Zone.